How we doing, everyone? Temperature's starting to drop now, isn't it? It's my favourite time of year though, got to say. You know, when the leaves start to go red and yellow and stuff like that. It looks amazing, all the different colours. Try and avoid the news, but it's quite difficult in this job, to be honest. And it's actually quite difficult in life, really, especially when you're a parent, because you know, you're keeping an eye on certain things to see, you know, what they're trying to bring in, what they're trying to scam us with now, what they're trying to terrify us with now, and to what end. So I've been watching, you know, what's been going on in Egypt in terms of this so-called peace summit and stuff, and I've got to say, it's quite weird, like, to see basically a load of people that are all complicit in the mass murder of children, all congratulating themselves on stopping it. Not that I believe they're really stopping it either, to be honest, guys. Like, what's it been, a couple of days since this peace has apparently come in. Ceasefire's already been broken a bunch of times, so it's not really worth the paper it's printed on. Another takeaway for me was looking at, you know, Trump and Starmer. And obviously I'm no fan of either of them, to be honest. And I know Starmer's a div, like, I get that. But this whole kind of belittling of Starmer, and everyone here is celebrating it because they can't stand him, and neither can I, so I get that. But it seems to me like people have forgotten that, you know, they're all actors, right? Like all of these guys. You know, Starmer's an actor, Trump's an actor, they're all actors, and they're all playing their little roles in this play that's kind of broadcast to us. It's made for public consumption, but it is still a play. And so it doesn't really matter what role you're playing, you know, whether you're I don't know, a professor with a questionable reputation, or whether you're a Cockney geezer. You're still playing a role, and Trump is still doing that, whether he's kind of just being boisterous and whatever, and whether Starmer's being weak and kind of, you know, walking back to the side of the podium like a wally with his tail between his legs. It's still an act, and this is still a play. It's still not real. It's real to us, the audience, in that this is clearly an interactive play and it affects us, but it's still a play. And I look at other bits and bobs. I mean, think about it in terms of the Rona stuff. Do you remember that bit of footage where you had all the people were all up on the podium? I'm trying to remember what country it was. I think it was America. And none of them have got masks on, and they're all chatting, they're all interacting. And then all cameras about to roll. Here, guys. And they get them out and they put them on, and then they start. It's a performance. All of it's an act. Everything's an act. And I'll be honest with you, I've been part of that. In one particular occasion, I was filming an episode of The Walk. Now, we were filming it in August, and this was August 2020. So there was one guy turned up with a visor on, didn't want to shake hands, wanted to be 2 meters apart, whatever. And that's fine. Do you know what I mean? I ain't judging people, whatever. And then at the end of it, he said to me, he said, "When's this go out?" And I went, "Oh, it won't go out till sort of, I don't know, October or something." He naively then went, "Well, COVID will be over by October, won't it?" And I went, "Right." And he went, "Let's do that meet and greet again, because otherwise I'll look rude." So we reshot it, where he came up and shook hands. He'd been terrified to do it a minute ago. And then he said goodbye, shook hands again, and he left. We reshot those scenes. Now, in that instance, I guess it is a play. I mean, it's just an entertainment show about going for a walk and exploring history. But the mindset's the same. It's about perception. He was concerned that people watching it would think he was rude. So we changed it so it would change the perception of the audience. That's all these people are doing. Trump is appearing to be strong and boisterous, because then, in the same way as Boris Johnson purposely mucking up his hair, he's like one of us. He's a geezer. And then you've got Starmer, who's playing his character, his role. He's appearing weak because he's very, very dispensable, and we'll see rid of him almost certainly. I think they're gearing up towards that. It's almost like he's going to take the fall for how unpopular digital ID is, and then the other people will come in. They'll still try and introduce it because it's still part of the plan, but you know, we've got a couple of scenes more in the play until then. Now, that got me thinking that basically we used to know that politics was an act. Since Trump's come along, people have sort of bought back into it again. Same, I guess, you could apply with religion. People had turned their back on religion, now they're all back into it again. Everything's cyclic, isn't it? And so a lot of people that thought that politics was essentially a game are now suddenly believing it, because there's a character in the play that is more like them, because we're all quite boisterous and obnoxious at times, aren't we? So then it made me think, well, what if everything from history has been an act? What if everything's been a play? Now I'm looking at, you know, Erica Kirk at the minute with all that kind of stuff, and comments that she made today about how she'd wondered for 7.5 years what to get Charlie for his birthday. But then today he's been given something that, you know, he would have always wanted. And it's like, but he's been given a medal because he was assassinated. I don't think he's always wanted that. It doesn't make any sense. It's almost like the game's glitching. And then, so today, I'm going like a fly in a greenhouse, but I'm going somewhere with this, so please go with me. Today, I started filming this episode of Pathways to the Past. It's something we're putting on Ickonic, and it's on Bonnie Prince Charlie. It's dead interesting. I ain't going to give away too much, because otherwise you won't watch it. But basically, you know, he was part of the Jacobite uprising of 1745. They marched on London to take the throne and all this sort of stuff. But I'm looking at that history and I'm like, yeah, but who told that history? Like, who's it come from? Because it probably doesn't come from Bonnie Prince Charlie's side, because he was sent back to Italy with his tail between his legs. So it comes from the victor. So the victor's telling the story. Okay, well, does that mean it's accurate? Not necessarily. In fact, often probably not. And then you go, what other things from history? And then that got me thinking, as this happens sometimes, my brain goes whirring. If all of these things are plays and all of them are an act, are they trying to perfect them over time? In which case you try something, it goes all right, okay, we'll try that again, but maybe tweak this, tweak that. We'll do another pandemic, but we'll do it differently. We'll do another world war. The first one went all right, we'll do a second one. Probably some truth in that. That's how they try and perfect it. Or do they perfect the messaging and the truth of an event for years and decades, centuries later, but not different events, not redoing the event but doing it better, but just retelling the story of the event. So if you think, say for instance, JFK, 1963, gets shot, people back then thought it was a scam. People back then thought that Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy and that it was the CIA and whoever else. Those are not theories that were cooked up by conspiracy theorists in the late 80s, early 90s, which is what most people think. Most people think that that whole conspiracy theorist movement only really came in the late 80s and 90s. That's not true. People in the 60s were questioning it immediately. People were questioning the moon landings at the time as well. And so, is it that you release a narrative, this is what happened, and then people don't really buy it? So you go, well, what part of it are they not buying? Well, they're not buying this part. Okay, well, we'll write that bit out the play. So when we present it in 20 years to the school children of that generation, we'll ignore that bit. And so actually the events basically become edited, genetically modified in a way, so that maybe in 100 years' time or 200 years' time, the Kennedy assassination will be presented to school kids across the world, and it will be completely believable that, yeah, it was Lee Harvey Oswald, this is how he did it. Yeah, it was amazing. They had this special technology, or whatever. And then it got me thinking about more recent things, like COVID, for instance, all that shite we had to put up with that, where we fought back against it. And so you'd like to think that actually in future generations, people will look back at the resistance and go, yes, you know, this is how they fought back against that. But will they? Or will it be edited? And actually suddenly, in 200 years, they'll be talking about COVID in the same way they talk about the Spanish flu. Because a lot of people accept the Spanish flu as reality. They'll say, no, COVID was nonsense, you know, that was nonsense. It wasn't like it was like the Spanish flu, that was horrendous. Yeah, but was the Spanish flu horrendous? And who says? On whose word is that based? You could apply the same to the Black Death. You could apply the same to everything. And now I'm going, well, well, now I'm confused, because what's true about anything? I guess you don't know, do you, really? So what do you go with? Do you just go with what you feel? In terms of what your gut tells you, what your heart tells you? Well, it's difficult with going with your heart, because they pull on those heartstrings, right, with their messaging. So then you feel a certain way and you go, well, do I feel that certain way because that's the reality of the situation, or do I feel that way because I've been manipulated to feel that way? Can you apply that same kind of, that same think to your gut? Like, do I trust my, because that's what I go off, ladies and gentlemen, I go off my gut. You know, I'll try and work stuff out. Sometimes, you know, emotion, you know, affects you in terms of you going with your heart on something. I just feel to do it, whatever. But a lot of times I trust my gut. This don't feel right. And I'll be honest, that it's steered me all right in life so far. But can I trust that now? And then you throw AI in there in terms of, well, do I trust my own eyes now? You know, people go, oh, no, it's true, no, it's true. I've seen it, I saw it, I saw it. Yeah, but did you? You saw a video of it, but do you know it's legit? Do you know that that's not AI? And then you go, okay, well, maybe not a video then. What about people that were there at the scene? No, I was there, mate, I saw it. And then you look at the hologram technology. And I'm seeing people talking now about the fact this Charlie Kirk thing was a hologram. I'm like, I don't even know, mate. Like, I'm at that age now and I've been around this kind of stuff for so long that I don't know. How do you judge stuff, folks? It's mad, isn't it? It is mad, isn't it?